Okay, so welcome to the College of DuPage Surgical Technology Associates of Applied Science Advising session. It's a mouthful, sorry. Um, so throughout this advising session, I'm going to go through uh, about the program, about the perioperative pathways, um, how to get into the program, all of the important pieces of the surgical technology program. So please feel free kind of jot down questions that you have, and then we'll go through everything at the end. So just for introductions first, my name is Anna Campbell. I am the Surgical Technology Program Chair. I've been the chair for about 4 years now, but I've been in the program since 2015. I have my PhD in curriculum and instruction. My dissertation was on surgical technology student success, so something I'm very passionate about. I am a CST CSFA, which means I'm a certified surgical technologist and a certified surgical first assistant. I still work as a first assistant in the hospital. So I can keep my foot in the door and keep a good eye on what's going on and changes and updates. So I think it helps us keep the program relevant and up to date. You see my email here. This is the best way. This is my email and my office number. My office number is I'm very rarely there, so it always shoots to email. The best way to reach me is through email, and I can always set up a time for a phone call or for a Zoom call. But I am advising hundreds of students, so it's really best if we could set up an appointment. That way I can give you individualized time. And usually I can set those appointments up pretty quickly, so we can get your questions answered. Okay, so I had mentioned the perioperative programs. At the college, we have 3 programs that are all connected to surgery, basically. We refer to those as the perioperative programs or the perioperative pathway. I'm going to talk about those in a second on the next page. What I want to talk about first is the important components of these 3 programs. All 3 of them have certain essential functions. I mentioned these early on because it's really important for you. Essential functions are never something that I will say to you, boy, I don't think that you can handle lifting those trays, or I don't ever want to be a decider in that for you. So it's real important that you evaluate the different types of essential functions we have. We have a very detailed list that's found on the web page, and then it's also found in the admissions packet. So please look through that detailed list and evaluate yourself. Do a self-evaluation and make sure that this is a program that you can do, that you have all these essential functions for the job. If you ever have a question about anything, always feel free to ask me. But that list is pretty detailed and I'll help guide you if this is the right field for you. So the perioperative programs, or the surgical pathway, begins with sterile processing, central sterile processing and distribution. This is a 12-credit certificate. When you're done with, this can be done in 1 semester. These are offered in 8-week courses. Once you're done with this, you can work as a sterile processing technician. That job roughly starts around $18 an hour, that starting pay. And you are responsible for the cleaning and the sterilizing and packaging and distribution of all surgical instrumentation. So you work side by side with the operating room. All of that, so part of this pathway is that all of those 12 credits then apply to your AAS degree. So then that means you only have to complete another 52 credits to get your associate degree. These are the courses that are required for that associate degree. As I mentioned, it's 64 credits that can be done in about 2 years time. When you're done with surgical technology, you'll have your associate's degree and this CSPD certification. That looks really good on a resume. and surge techs are starting at about 25 an hour. The next part of the pathway is the Surgical First Assisting Certificate Program. This is another 35 credits. This has to be, you have to have your Surge Tech or CST, a certified CST, in order to enter the Surgical First Assisting Program. So that's how they all kind of, it's like a ladder that you climb. And then each step along the way, each career along the way, you can jump off at any point. But that surgical first assisting after a year worth of program, and this can be completed while working full time as a surgical tech. You're starting around 30 an hour roughly, and that varies along the way, but that's that next bump up, and it increases your scope of practice as well. So now you can close wounds and inject tissue and things like that. So let's go into more detail about the certified surgical technologist. Um, this picture here actually shows everybody. Okay. That surgeon is probably what we would assume is the surgeon is the man wearing glasses who has the instruments in his hand, surgical instruments in his hand, is the main operator with the patient. That's our surgeon. Okay. Across from the surgeon, holding a retractor and helping suction blood away and making it so the surgeon can see well, that's our CSFA, or surgical first assistant. That blue towel there with the instruments on it, that tray, that's called a Mayo stand. The person standing behind that Mayo stand, that is our surgical technologist. You can see the surgical technologist has her hands ready to grab an instrument for that surgeon or for the first assistant. And she's watching that procedure to see what's the next step and trying to anticipate what the surgeon is going to need. The two in the foreground there with their hands up, most likely students, could be medical students, could be surgical tech students, nursing students, but they're kind of in the background observing what's going on. So we're assuming they're students. So a surgical technologist, you can picture her there now, works under the supervision of a surgeon. That means that they are the captain of the ship. We're not doing anything that surgeon doesn't direct. So everything we do is under the supervision of a surgeon. The environment is exciting. Now, that exciting can be extremely stressful. That exciting can be happy, like the birth of a child. It can also be a patient that is heavily bleeding. So that exciting means that this is you're constantly on your toes. There is often, I'm sorry, excuse me. There is often high energy while in this operating room environment. So something to consider when you're looking into this career. Surg techs can work in hospitals, surgery centers, even physician offices. Um, this is physician offices would be like a plastic surgeon that has procedures that they do in the office. They'll often have a surg tech handle office work and then also scrub for the procedures. As I said before, we're starting approximately around $25 per hour. You can find a little bit less, you can find a little bit more, but that's that average start pay. There are opportunities to make more money. You can, there's call pay. So if you're working at a hospital, you will take call and it will be either from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., meaning that you have your phone available. The hospital can call if there's an emergency. And when you get called in, you typically are making time and a half. So a lot of opportunity to make more money through call and through shift differentials and work weekend or holiday pay. Program highlights. So what is so great about COD? Well, we're KHEP accredited, the Commission of Accreditation on Accreditation of Allied Health Education Programs. If you do not go to COD for the Surge Tech program and you want to go elsewhere, I just highly recommend this KHEP accreditation. It sets a very high standard for the program that anybody who is KHEP accredited has to adhere to. So real important to find a KHEP accredited program. That KHEP accreditation allows us to have students sit for the National Board of Surgical Technology and Surgical Assisting, the exam that is offered through them. That exam is the Certified Surgical Technologist exam, or CST. So you will have that CST designation after passing that exam. Once you are a CST, you will, and actually at the end of the program, you get a year membership to the Association of Surgical Technologists. This is our professional organization, and I really can't say enough about them. They put out a wonderful magazine every month. They offer continuing education opportunities. They track your continuing education. It's a really, really nice professional organization. They have conferences every year in great places, actually. So highly recommend maintaining your membership with AST. Another benefit to our program, we have fall and spring cohorts. So we will accept as many clinical sites as we can, spots for as many clinical sites we can. So this is typically 20 that we will accept in fall and 20 that we will accept in spring. We have a state-of-the-art lab that we are improving, honestly, each year. We want this lab to be as close to the actual surgical experience as possible. So we're constantly making improvements, and putting in like mock procedures and things that give you that as much realism as possible with your lab experience. We are an outstanding program. We have been KHEP accredited for over 30 years. We're well known in the community as putting out solid surgical technologists, skilled professional surgical technologists. Because we're well known in the community, we have a great deal of clinical affiliations. So that means that, depending on where you live, we have sites all over the place. Our goal is to get you at a site that you would like to work at someday. So that is always something we're thinking about as your future employment while in the program. Instructors. We have multiple instructors on board. These are wonderful people who are all feel very, very strongly about our mission and vision of the program. They are here to support you as students throughout your entire journey. Every one of these instructors are easily approachable. They answer right away when you have questions. Extremely supportive and really there throughout your entire process, throughout your entire education. Program structure. So once you are in the program, and we'll talk about how this is gonna, what your first year looks like, what your second year looks like. What we call what you're in the program, that's that second year after admission. So that once you're program active, Surge Tech program active, you will have in-class lecture once a week. That's an HSC, the Health and Science Center, 2123. And typically we run on Mondays, and you're either at 9 a.m. Or you are at 12 p.m. And it's about a 3-hour class. And that's throughout your entire program, that once a week lecture. You will be in lab the first 8 weeks of the program. And that's an 8-week course that is taken on campus. It's all lab based. Is some lecture, but that's done online. That will be Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and those are 3-hour classes each day. We do typically offer 2 sections. One would be at 7 a.m. and one would be at 10 a.m. And that can change, but we have been running it that way for a couple of years now. So I picture that being that way for fall. After you have successfully completed lab, then you head out to clinical. You will be at clinicals for 3 8-week sections, one right after the other. So that is 24 weeks of clinical. Your clinical site is selected for you. We do not accept requests. We have, up to 40 students at a time with clinical. It's like a big puzzle, and it's just something that we can't take requests from 40 students on where to be placed. So that's something you agree to, that clinical site is selected for you. You have to provide your own transportation, and that means all the costs that go along with that. So um, gas, travel, or if you're taking public transportation, that's all stuff that is your responsibility. All those financial responsibilities are on your end. You may have to travel up to an hour. We avoid this as much as possible. So if we send you to a place that's up to an hour, it's because we had no choice and we needed to utilize a site. We will not make you drive more up to an hour for longer than one of the sections. So it would be a maximum of 8 weeks. And then we would move you to a site that's closer. Um, uh, I mentioned the incurring onboarding and parking costs. That's part of that transportation cost. So just something to be aware of. And then your clinical experience is 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. twice a week. You would either be at clinicals on Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday, Friday. That's something that you will find out during your lab course. So we work on that once you're in starting in the program. So you find out about 4 weeks prior what days you will be and what location you'll be at. Excuse me. Certification at the end of the year program, that SURGT program part of the program. You will sit for the NBSTSA CST exam. We all take the exam together. That's the your entire cohort will take it together the last day of class. The exam is 175 questions with 150 scored, which means they just throw away 25 questions. You must receive a score of 98 or above to pass. That is not 98%. That's not a score of 98 out of those 175 questions. It ends up being about 68, 67%, right around there. We do have a SURGT 1500 review course. So before you sit for this exam, you will sit for an 8-week review course that you must pass in order to sit for the exam. That whole 8 weeks is really dedicated to reviewing questions and material and content and researching areas that you may be struggling with. And then after passing that exam, you are officially a CST. Now, how do we get started? We have the process that I really recommend is that you really get to know about the profession and you really get to know about our program. A great way to start is with the Surgical Technology Handbook. This can be found. I'm going to actually, if you guys can put into the chat and you can send it just to just to me on this chat. If you could place your email and then I will send you this whole advising session, the PDF of this advising session, and then the PowerPoint. And then these are links that I built into this PowerPoint. So you could access the handbook right through here. So I really recommend looking through that handbook. It says everything about the program and the profession. And then I will ask you to look at the surgical technology admission packet. Now, one thing I want you to know is that we are updating this, so you will see the updated version actually this week, which is June. Where are we at? Later on this week. So you'll see that updated admission packet, but you looking carefully through that and through the checklist is a great place to start as well. If you are not a student of the college, you're going to want to apply to the College of DuPage. After you apply, if you have been at other colleges, make sure that you send all official transcripts from any other institution that you had attended, and send those official transcripts over to COD and have those transcripts evaluated. Then we can get all of your college credit on your transcripts, your COD transcripts. At that point, I would recommend reaching out to your health program advisors, and they will sit with you and get to know you and set an education plan for you that works with your life and your schedule, and will help you to get where you need to be for the SURGT program. So this, when you sit with that advisor, those health advisors, they will look at our course requirements. This is a sample education plan. So this would be our next available cohort is actually fall of 2025. We're full for fall 2024 and for spring 2025. So our next available cohort is fall of 25. So this would be a sample plan. Let's say you wanted to start right away this fall 2024. You would take these 14 credits that you see here, CSPD 1111, SURGT 1001, so on and so forth, math and anatomy. And then in the spring, you would take Anatomy 2, SURGT 1000, CSPD 1211, and MedTerm or Health Science 1110. And then those are the required courses to get into the program. Okay. So let's move on to how you get admitted into the program. So you're going to fill out a health career selective enrollment program application. This you can find at this link here. You can also find it on our updated SURGT webpage. And there is a $50 fee for that. I'm going to go back to the last page. So where you're going to apply is during this spring semester. Okay. The deadline for fall is May 30th. So you would want the application and all the steps would have to be completed by May 30th. Now you can put your application in. Let's say you put your application in February, but you still have those 4 classes to complete. That's fine. That's fine. You can put your application in and still complete courses afterwards. So you're going to fill out that application. You're going to complete a College of DuPage residency form, verification form. This shows proof of residency that needs to be in or your application is not looked at. We do accept out-of-district students, but we can only accept 20% of our applicants or 20% of our spots to out-of-district applicants based on merit. So that is because we just have to give priority to, because we have in-district clinical sites, we have to give priority to the in-district students, but it is possible as an out-of-district student to gain acceptance. After you do the residency verification form, then you just have to make sure you complete all of those prerequisite courses with a C or better prior to the admission deadline. So this is the prerequisite courses needed prior to admission, okay? Anatomy 1 and 2, that's the full series. SURGT 1001, math 1100 or above, will accept any math as long as it's 1100 or above. CSPD 1111, CSPD 1211, health science 1110, and SURGT 1000. I'd like to make a special note on the CSPD 1211. Health requirements are required for that class. We're going to talk about it in a second, what those health requirements are. But health requirements, because that's a clinical course, so you will be in the hospital for that course. And then health requirements are also required for the SURGT program. So you're actually able to use it, some of the things you do. You wouldn't have to repeat if it's done within a year. Those general education courses required to graduate, those English, social and behavioral science, and speech 1100, that all can be taken within the program. So while you're taking your SURGT classes, you can take these classes as well. You can be accepted, still needing those. That said, I really recommend knocking them out. Try to take them in the summer before your program starts. Even if you got 2 of these courses out of the way, it would be extremely helpful to you. After you get your application in and all of your courses complete, so May 30th is that deadline. So the admissions committee will meet and we will look at all the points. All the courses that you complete are given merit points based on, let me go back so I can show you. See if the top there, merit points are given if for all these courses right here, these prerequisite courses, A gets 4 points, B gets 3 points, and C gets 2 points. And you have to have a C or above for it to be counted. So all of those points are added up and the admission committee meets and will let you know 2 to 4 weeks after that deadline if you are accepted into the fall program. Now, let's say that you didn't, there was a lot of applicants and you didn't get into that fall program. We will roll over your application into spring. So those same merit points will be applied to spring and any new spring applications you will be, compared to those spring applications and we will take the top merit points for spring then as well. If you did not get into spring, then we would ask you to reapply. If you're still interested, we would ask you to reapply for the following fall and kind of do that same process again. Health requirements. I mentioned we needed them for CSPD 1211 and for the Surge Tech program. These are good for 12 months. So let's say you take CSPD and 1211 in spring. A lot of this you're not going to have to do again. That criminal background check is good for your Surge Tech program. The physical examination will be good. Your proof of vaccinations, that all should be good to go. And you'll have to have personal health insurance as well. Back to proof of vaccinations, we do still require the COVID vaccination. We have had some hospitals say that they will not require it. So if somebody, it shouldn't stop you from joining the program. If I have sites that change their mind on that, I cannot guarantee a site with a COVID exemption. But right now it's still a requirement for the program. You have to have health insurance, personal health insurance. You have to have your American Red Cross, BLS, basic life support, CPR certification. Make sure you're only taking that American Red Cross. You should have to have in-person component for that class. There's no completely online CPR course. So make sure you're taking the correct one. Drug test. So this is something that you would get drug tested for that CSPD 1211. And then you'll also have to take a drug test again for the Surge Tech program. A strong thing to note about the drug test, and I'm mentioning this because we've had multiple students that have had issues with this and who have been dropped from the program. Even though marijuana is legal in Illinois, our programs are nationally accredited and marijuana is considered a positive drug test. So, and that is in any form. If there's edibles, if there's CBD edibles, really stay away from everything. We've had students that are taking things for anxiety and then that ends up getting them dropped from the program. So no marijuana can show up on those exams or it is considered a positive drug test and you will not be allowed in CSPD or into that Surge Tech program. Okay, that is the bulk of it, I believe. I will take questions for anyone, for those online listening to this. Please feel free to reach out to me. As I mentioned before, cambella86@cod.edu is the best way to reach me. And we can always set up an appointment to chat.